Do you know what remains with the home when you buy it? I'm Sean Larson, real estate broker, and we're going to answer a little bit about that because that is one of the most common questions as we do home showings. Buyers are looking through the homes. If it's an existing home, the personal property is still in the home. There may be some specialty items there. And so the buyer's curious, does this stay with the home? Or does that stay with the home? So it can be a little bit confusing of what is included with the purchase. So I am just going to preface all of this information with you always want to go back to your written contract and go by what it says, because the written contract is going to dictate the answer to a lot of those questions. But aside from that, let's just talk in generalities a little bit. There is a definition of what's called a fixture. Now, in general terms, people are used to lighting fixtures and plumbing fixtures and things like that. But the definition of a fixture is something in a home that is either has become permanent part of the home, or if it was removed, there would be a perception that something is missing or it caused damage or something like that from the home. So there is clearly a component missing from the home. So that is kind of a general definition of what a fixture is. So as people are purchasing homes, there is this assumption, and you know how assumptions go, that all of the fixtures are included. But as we're accustomed to it being lighting and plumbing, say for instance somebody had permanently attached mirrors or something like that, and then the seller decided they liked the mirror and wanted to take the mirror. See, you can run into some disputes there on what was actually included. So again, you always go back to the written contract, and if anything is ever in question, put it in your contract that it remains with the home, or you can phrase it that it conveys to the buyer. So that is extremely important. On the seller side, if I'm the listing agent, one recommendation I have is if there is something in the home that you don't want to convey to the buyer, remove it. Remove it before the home is even shown, before the professional pictures are even taken. And quite often there is something. And in my experience, coincidentally, it's been a lighting fixture. A lot of times there has been a lighting fixture. For some reason, it was either a gift or they bought it on an anniversary or something. I've had a client that has transferred the same lighting fixture through 3 or 4 different homes. So if there is something in the home that is not going to be sold with the home, go ahead and remove it and go ahead and replace it with another item. Because what will happen is if you're relying on the imagination of the buyer, say for instance in MLS you might put an instruction that says item does not convey with the home or does not remain. Well, the buyers come and look at the home and they see the item that does not stay. So that provides a couple things. One, it engages their imagination, and you don't know if they're going to imagine something better, something worse, and so it can throw some confusion in the interpretation of the home once they realize an item isn't staying. The second thing it does is sometimes it actually makes them want the item more. So even if they don't like the item, it becomes a winning objective. They want the item. And so that gets a little tough with the seller if they were set on taking it. So the best way to take all of that off the table is just remove the item before the home is even listed, before the professional pictures are taken. One exception might be to that, might be, for example, media room equipment. Sometimes media room equipment isn't conveyed. Maybe it's a particular piece of equipment that the seller wants to take with them for their next media room or something like that, but they do want it in the home during showings to demonstrate the media room. So there are a few exceptions there where you really try to clarify that that is not staying, but like I said, you're still relying on the imagination of the buyers on what the home's going to be without those things. In a lot of state documents, this is going to vary per state, per region. It's going to vary per contract depending on the documents you're using. There's quite often pre-written text in a document, like boilerplated text of all of the things that remain with the home, because they're commonly listed things. And so instead of having to list those every time, what they do is they go ahead and pre-print that in the contract so everybody is aware of what stays with the home, if they read the document. Now, those documents evolve over time. A lot of the states update their documents every year. And so it's not uncommon where somebody didn't stay up to date on what that list includes. And so I'll give you an example. I've seen this before, and agents I know have seen it before as well. Window treatments. For instance, you might have a contract that had boilerplated text that says all window treatments remain with the home. That might be drapes, it might be blinds, everything for the windows. And if somebody isn't up to date on their documents, and we've seen this happen, you go for your final walkthrough right before closing, and guess what's not there? That's right. All the window treatments are gone because somebody didn't stay up to date on what that boilerplated text says and what is included with the home. So you always want to go back to the contract, review any pre-printed text, and then make any adjustments accordingly for anything you need to specify. Boilerplated text usually includes things like window treatments, pool equipment. Now some of it might even include TV wall mounting brackets or something like that. So review that and make any adjustments that you might need. Other things that come into question are appliances. Now, appliances that technically aren't usually permanently attached to the home, so it becomes like a gray area on that whole fixture definition. Most of the time, people aren't taking them, but there is an exception. Sometimes people do want to take the refrigerators. This tends to be a differing thing per home, per market. Sometimes there are certain practices in certain markets. But if you think about it, refrigerators aren't permanently attached. They just simply slide in. You might attach an ice line or something like that, but they just slide in. So technically it's not a permanent part of the house. But as soon as you start cabinet fronting it and making the refrigerator look like a custom part of the cabinets, then it starts sliding over to a definition of a fixture, and then it becomes part of the home. So you want to be clear on all kitchen appliances, maybe all refrigerators, wine fridges, dishwashers. You might want to just be extra careful that you know what is remaining with the home. And that's interior items. The whole fixture and what stays extends to the outdoors as well. So it could be certain park benches that maybe either have been built in, or you might have a pergola or something like that you want to be sure that is staying, because maybe it wasn't permanently attached. So don't think it's just indoors. So every time you go outside at a home and you're going to make an offer on something, make sure you're specific on what's going to stay there. Which rolls over also, you're going to look at a lot of these existing homes, and guess what they're full of? That's right, personal property. They've got furniture, and that furniture might fit that space just perfectly, and you want to negotiate that in the deal. Sometimes that can happen, sometimes not. I'll give you an example of where it can provide you a few speed bumps. For example, if somebody is getting a mortgage on the home, they're lending money, or borrowing money rather, to purchase the home. That lender is lending money to purchase real estate. They're not necessarily lending money to buy personal property, which the furniture and things like that qualifies as. So there are loan packages for that, package loans that encompass the real estate and all the contents and things like that are common in certain regions where people are used to buying properties fully furnished. But if you're in a region where you go into a home and you look at a home there, and right there in the garage there's a bright fancy tractor, lawnmower, and you want it to cut that 2 acres that home's sitting on, and you try to put that in the deal, just be careful that the lender might red flag that, because they're lending money to purchase real estate and not a shiny new tractor in the garage. So if that is the case and you want to negotiate those things in, you can always separate that out and negotiate a separate bill of sale, so that is a contract unto itself. So that's a thought as well. So this is just a little information about what stays with the home. Always check your contract, and if you're unsure about something, ask questions and document everything, because it's always going to be your written contract that determines the outcome of things. My name again is Sean Larson. I'm a real estate broker. If I can answer absolutely anything about real estate, give me a shout and I'd love to connect. We'll make a plan and get everything done for you. Thanks so much. Have a super day.